Hey everyone, my name is Anthony Aquinto. I'm 28 years old and been a career firefighter paramedic for 8 years now. I've been an athlete my entire life, growing up playing soccer and swimming competitively. During the year 2020, I was assigned to one of the busiest medic units in my county. We've consistently had some of the highest COVID positive zip codes in the Commonwealth. In April of 2020, we responded to numerous patients daily with symptoms that mirrored the presentation of COVID 19. After a particularly busy shift, my partner and I both reported feeling run down and just a general feeling of not feeling well. We both called in sick for our next shift. After deliberating with my fiance, I contacted the department because I felt like I should get tested for COVID 19 just due to the increased frequency of workplace exposures. I called around to multiple COVID 19 test sites, only to be turned away by most. I was turned away due to my lack of severe symptoms. My symptoms at that point consisted of fatigue and body aches mainly. Once I secured a test, I went and got tested, and I was told it would take 3 to 5 days to receive the results. Over the next week, my symptoms worsened. I wasn't able to get off the couch. I didn't have an appetite. The only reason I'd get off the couch was due to GI disturbances. I realized I had to get my 2-year-old son out of the house to limit his exposure to me. I finally found childcare, which ended up lasting 2 weeks due to my consistent symptoms. About halfway through the 2 weeks of sickness, I began to feel like I couldn't catch my breath and was constantly coughing. I was unable to find relief for my breathing issues no matter what position I was in. Went to a local ER and multiple tests were performed with no findings. My SpO2 is 92%, which isn't great for me. The doctor stated that there was nothing they could do for me besides give oxygen, but I wasn't bad enough off to be admitted to the hospital. He offered to test me again because after a week I still had not received my initial test results of the COVID 19 test. The ER doctor ended up declining a second test because he was so confident with my diagnosis based off of my symptoms and exposure. He then diagnosed me with COVID 19. A few days later, my initial test result came back as negative. I contacted the ER doctor, and he stated that I still needed to quarantine due to my symptoms and the high probability of false negatives. At this time, my medic partner was admitted to the ICU, and another member of the station was also admitted to the ICU with symptoms. A fourth member of our crew also came down with symptoms and had a positive test. My symptoms subsided after a few weeks, and I was quarantined an additional 2 weeks after that. I passed a fit for duty test and returned to work shortly after. I filled an initial claim out, which was approved. Approximately 2 months later, I began having chest pains at work. I went and got checked out, and the cardiologist found minor EKG changes that were commonly associated with patients who have had COVID 19. I filled out a workers' compensation claim through my work. My claim was denied. My claim was denied because I never had a positive COVID 19 test. Yet, I was diagnosed from the ER doctor with COVID 19. With the unknown long-term effects of COVID 19, we need to be retroactively protecting our first responders who have been on the front lines of this since the beginning of the pandemic. Thank you for your time.